What's up, everybody? This is the CanesInSight podcast brought to you by Canesware. I am your host, D Money. We have a special guest, CanesInSight legend, man who made Gary Furman say, "Who is Cribby?" Had Barry Jackson wonder what's going on. All the scoops coming from one man on the CanesInsight.com message boards. The one, the only Cribby. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I was doing better before this mic busted. My wife was trying to redecorate the house and messed up the mic. You didn't realize that the millions and millions of Canes Insight fans, would be hurt by that. Worried about things like how the kitchen looks and the room and everything like that. Missed the important things. So if I'm sounding a little gritty, we'll get that fixed next week. But awesome to have you on. For those who don't know, Cribby is a legend on the boards, gets stuff before anybody. I know from texting with him. He's on top of things 2 steps before they happen. Just a humble man from North Central Florida, but he's getting the goods. So a lot of stuff happening. Wanted to get Crib's thoughts. New linebacker coach Derek Nicholson. We'll talk about that. New running back coach Tim Harris, a familiar name to people in Florida, and we'll touch on some other aspects of the OC and DC hires I think you'll like, and get into some spring practice. But first, Crib, let's talk about this running back coach Tim Harris. Kind of unusual resume for a position coach. Not your normal just lifetime running back coach, right?
No, he actually has some X's and O's experience going back to Booker T. Washington, where he's the offensive coordinator and then the future head coach. But even at FIU, he was next in line. He had been promoted to play caller before he left. On the board, I said he had play calling experience, but that was inaccurate. He left and went to Central Florida before he started calling plays at FIU.
Yeah, I remember watching. He was the offensive coordinator at Booker T. Watching that offense with Treon Harris, it was one of the most dynamic high school offenses I'd ever seen in 2013. They won the national championship, and they had great players. But Booker T's not a huge school. It wasn't like Central, it was an all-star team. They had good players, some guys going both ways, and really a dynamic offense that was ahead of the curve from other teams when he was there at Booker T as calling plays.
Yeah, Treon Harris, which is a coach's son at quarterback, and you're running an offense that was probably more up to date than ours at Miami. Which it was probably 5-6 years ahead of pace, which Miami finally got into the century, the 21st century of offense with Lashley, but they were even a decade ahead of us.
Absolutely. And Miami Hurricane Hall of Famer, for those that don't know, he was a track athlete, 800-meter sprinter, one of the better sprinters in the country while he was at Miami, four-time All-American. So you're on that 800 meters. You're somebody who's got some heart and some determination, certainly. And he had that while he was at Miami. Creative writing major, English major. I always heard he was a really smart guy, kind of an intellectual type of guy on top of being a guy. Don't know how he didn't play football, with all that IQ and football knowledge and that speed, but ended up being a coach and someone who's known as a good recruiter, got a lot of relationships locally. Miami's going running backs nationally. You will go after that Adrian Peterson type, just getting the best running backs down here. Every single year, there's an NFL back or two coming out of this area. You see Kenny McIntosh played in the college football playoff for Georgia, now is on his way to the pros. There's one of those guys every year or better. So a guy like Tim Harris with those local connections certainly can help that local recruiting. So switching gears, Crib, the linebacker coach, Derek Nicholson, played for Florida State. I remember when he was a player, him and his brother A.J. Nicholson both had a cup of coffee in the NFL and were very good players for the Noles from that Winston-Salem, North Carolina area where there's a lot of Canes fans. You see it every time Miami plays a road game in Carolina. I know it's an area they'd love to recruit more from. So that might be something Nicholson can bring to the table. Also a very good recruiter in Dade County. At Louisville last year, he took Stanquan Clark, who I know for a fact Miami wanted very badly. So he's a guy that can recruit. He's 36. He can relate to kids. He's not 62 like Charlie Strong. He's a good coach, but, it's a big difference in terms of not just relating to kids, but just overall energy chip on the shoulder, something to prove. Charlie Strong's a household name. No one knows Derek Nicholson. He wants to change that with what he does in Miami. So what do you think about the linebacker hire, Derek Nicholson?
Well, both he hires is young up and comers, guys that are grinders, are known for being grinders. And if you're going to be with Mario and recruit with Mario, you have to be a grinder. You have to live it 247, coffee, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. You have to grind the work for Mario. And I'm not sure that was going on the last go round with the last staff, which had guys that were eligible for AARP on them. Guys that have been to the top of the mountain, the pinnacle of coaching, and they've made their money and they've done their thing. And now it's time for some younger, up and comer, hungry guys that want to make a name for themselves, work their way up the coaching tree, and eventually be head coaches, defensive coordinators. Which Nicholson has been a defensive coordinator. I know a co-defensive coordinator, and I believe that's his title at Miami, co-defensive coordinator as well.
Yeah, you're talking about guys with titles, risers, and that youthful energy. Last year, you had guys, Steele, Charlie Strong, who were unquestionably great coaches with experience, but didn't necessarily have that chip on their shoulder, that hunger that you see, that energy from a younger coach. Now, there's a balance. You don't just want to have a staff full of interns, guys that you promoted internally. But these are guys that are risers from elsewhere that are being brought in with a lot to prove. So that is a nice combo of new faces. They're not familiarity hires. They're not guys that Mario just built from the ground up. They've been other places. They've seen other things, but they still have a lot to show. So it's a nice combo there, and I think it's what's needed after a staff with a little too much ego, maybe not enough energy in certain respects, and not enough cohesiveness. I asked for the staff to go younger. I think you made post to that effect as well on the boards, and this is what we're seeing, a youth movement in terms of the position coaches on both sides of the ball. Obviously, wide receiver coach still has not been filled. It's going to be potentially filled in these next couple days. Still potentially some more movement on the staff. Anything you're looking for, doesn't need to be a specific name, but anything you're looking for as the staff fills out?
Well, with receiver coach, just to throw a name out there, Hankerson, Leonard Hankerson. If there's anybody that could be a coach and be a great coach, is Leonard Hankerson. The guy was considered a bust, a bum. He couldn't catch anything at Miami. Then he went outside the program, got Mark Duper, and worked and worked and worked. And he ended up breaking records at Miami and being considered one of the best receivers ever at Miami. So somebody like that, younger, a technician with routes, been at the highest level, even though it was only for a cup of coffee in the NFL. He's been around elite coaches. Shanahan, he's been involved with air raid with at Stephen F. Austin. So he's been around, even though it don't feel like it. He's actually been around coaching circles. He's bounced around at UMass with Whipple. The dudes did his time, even though it seems like he was just playing in the NFL. Somebody like that, I like to keep the mantra of the younger, up and comer, hungry, and he's a teacher, and that's what you need at receiver. Recruiting is normally running back, but at receiver, I want a technician, as somebody to show the proper footwork in and out of breaks, stemming routes, all the mechanical issues that come with the position.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the Mark Duper coaching. That was a major story. You read about those stories all the time where they get help, and it's just usually for fluff. That's one of the few times where they actually did get so much better overnight. It actually worked out. He was catching the ball, had a great season. I thought he would have been a great pro if he had not gotten hurt. He had like 100-something yards against the Dolphins and tore his ACL that game. Never really was the same after that. But a coaching riser, San Francisco 49ers, has no reason to leave unless he really wants to be here. So the fact that he interviewed, that's a very, very exciting name for the Miami Hurricanes, a wide receiver. Another name that people have talked about a lot, James Coley. I think me and you are hearing the same things, which is Coley wanted to be an offensive coordinator, wanted to be a play caller, had interest in that regard, but as a position coach, not necessarily looking to leave, and maybe not as likely as the Twitter buzz was a couple weeks ago. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was offensive coordinator. He wanted to call the plays, and that wasn't happening. We've already seen that experiment multiple times end in failure. Halfback passes in the snow. Failed at Georgia, and that's hard to do. So, yeah, receiver coach, okay. Tight end coach, preferably, if that was to happen. But he wanted to make one last run at calling plays, and I don't see him ever doing that again in college football. I just see him being the bag man he is, and do his recruiting thing.
They were pretty explosive. They put up some numbers compared to what we saw last year, certainly. Now, I don't think anybody wants Coley to be the offensive coordinator, play caller. I know I don't want that. I don't think you want that either. But he did, well, look back at the numbers. They were pretty explosive. I think a big reason why they were so explosive is that offensive line that he inherited, which were some of the big guys that Stoutland recruited and that Kehoe recruited in one of his better moments with sort of Isadora, Eric Flowers, etc. So it shows you what a good offensive line can do. Combine a good offensive line with an innovative play caller, which you hope Shannon Dawson is, Miami's offensive coordinator pickup from Houston. You get some interesting. Crib, I know you studied Houston. What are some of the things you've seen from Dawson that you like?
Well, first of all, I keep hearing about air raid and passing the ball too much, and Mario's going to have to reel him back in to running the ball more. But I have news for you. Dawson wants to run the ball. If you go back all the way Southern Miss 2016, 17, 18, he runs the ball. Even all the way back to Kentucky 2015, it was 35 rushes to 33 pass. They ran for almost 2,000 yards. If you go 2016 SMU, Southern Miss, 42 rushes, 37 passes. You look at 2017 Southern Miss, 38 rush, 34 pass. So the trend continues every stop he makes until 2022, whenever he lost his Horace running back out in McCaskill. Then he went more pass game, throw the ball around. That was the 1 year the trend broke. And even then, he got creative with the running game. He used Clayton Tune, went from 100 carries the year before to almost 200. The next year, 500 plus rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. He went by committee. So he's not going to come in here and be Hal Mummy circa 2000. This is going to be balanced. They're going to run the ball. And yes, there's going to be space, and he's going to use some pace. And even that, he uses in moments. It's not an all game deal.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which direction he goes. Head coach wants to run the ball. Is he going to lean more on the experienced quarterback? Is he going to lean more on the running game? It should really depend on personnel, and you're hoping that the offensive line gives him that flexibility to do what he wants to do. On the defensive side, Coach Guidry, we've broken him down on the podcast a bunch, but I know, again, he's someone that you looked at and talked to folks around. You talk to coaches, you talk to people in the community. What are you feeling on Coach Guidry?
I've been calling for innovation for years. Miami used to be about innovation, and the last 10, 15 years, it's gotten away from that. Well, we've got innovation now. This guy attacks spread offenses. The one gripe I've always had with defensive coordinators is the game is so predetermined, pre-snap with quarterbacks the last 15 years or so, that why don't you show more at the line of scrimmage? And he does that. He shows 6-man fronts. He'll go 6 across the board on the line of scrimmage, and then only send 3. And then one play he'll go 6 across, and he'll go 6-man pressure. He'll be a 0-man. So he's showing different looks before the ball is even snapped. So the quarterbacks are thinking. So they have to go into post-snap and actually go through reads. And he mixes up coverages, hybrid coverage. He runs cover 6, cover 4, in which cover 6 isn't nothing but half cover 4, half cover 2 on each side of the field. So if you mix in the pre-snap, what he's doing on the lines and with the pressure looks, and then dropping out, and then mix in what he's doing with the coverages in the secondary, there's going to be a lot of confusion, and there's going to be plays to be had, especially with the transfers. These guys are like prototypical type guys for his system. A little undersized, a little quicker than girth, than power. But there's all kinds of twists, all kinds of stunts, and there's all kinds of pressure. Everybody hears chaos, but this is chaos, but it's controlled chaos, the way I see it.
Yeah, excited to see that defense in spring. Spring's coming up. We'll be breaking it down a ton. But we all have things that we're looking for in spring. Little things like, for me, backup center. Who's the backup center going to be behind Matt Lee? Big things like the wide receiver position, the linebacker position. How are the young guys going to look there? Who's going to step up and take that spot? What are some things that you're looking at in spring practice coming up next week?
I'm looking at the early enrollees coming in at positions we need instant help. Obviously O-line, receiver, so Okunlolo, Maui Yoga, Ray Joseph, all of those areas, and even on the D lines, because you can never not have enough defensive linemen. Um, Jaden Wayne, a lot of the areas we need help at. Antonio Tripp. These guys need to come in and hopefully be prepared to take snaps or if start for Okunlolo or Maui Yoga. That would be perfect. Ben's. I'm not sure I trust the guys we have from last year, and I want to see guys take the next step. I always look to the guys that flashed a little bit last year, like Kelly, Inez Cooper, Colby Young, Basaint. See those guys take the next step, go from being a role player and maybe more of an impact player. I want to see Leonard Taylor. Is he going to take the next step to become a superstar in college football, not a guy that just has one flash play here and one flash play there and then disappears? That's what I look for. I want to see guys taking the next step. Isaiah Horton, I hear a lot of good things about him. He's one person I really want to watch because the guy's got size and he's a little faster than what you think. And from what I've been hearing, he's been impressing as a player of workouts.
It's going to be interesting. Some guys are going to be hurt. Corey Flagg, Akeem Mesidor, two guys banged up. Might not see too much of him in the spring. I know Taylor and James Williams had shoulder situations that they've been managing. So big opportunity for guys to show what they can do. A guy like Bobby Washington, the linebacker from Killian Palmetto, they did the GPS numbers, and he was one of the fastest guys on the team in terms of GPS. I think he's a legit 4.4 guy at 6'3", 200 plus. So he's someone to watch at linebacker. You want to see how his instincts play. We know he can run, and we know he likes to strike. Malik Bryant, how does he handle that transition from edge rusher full-time to sort of that hybrid where he's a linebacker, maybe rushing on third downs? Can he do his thing? I heard he looked good in workouts. Those are going to be very interesting positions, given injuries, again, to a guy like Corey, which allows or Chase Smith, who's out for the spring, allows guys like Malik Bryant, guys like Bobby Washington, extra reps to do what they want to do. Anything else you're looking at spring? Go ahead.
With our safety depth, I would keep an eye on Caleb Spencer. I mean, he's coming in physically ready to play, 6'2.5", 210, big kid that can move. And there's no depth. We have no safeties. I think we're like 3 or 4 deep there. There's opportunities for some of these younger guys to come in and contribute really early. Bobby Washington's one I have written down too that, he has the length, the size. You come in early, you can get the strength and conditioning, the nutrition, and you can put on that weight. We could have a guy 6'3", 225 by game one. He could be in the rotation or, special teams. There's opportunities to be had because we're lacking talent, and there's quite an influx of talents in this class. So there's opportunities for these guys.
Yeah, Caleb Spencer, glad you mentioned that name. He's someone from the mid-Atlantic area that maybe a guy like Derek Nicholson will help penetrate in the future, but Miami was happy to get out of Virginia, plays multiple positions, safety, linebacker, he played offense, played a little bit of running back, return kicks. You like that profile of being a football player who does multiple things. I heard he was a little behind just physically when he came in, not because of any bad reason. He was hurt as a senior, missed the second half of his senior year. So he's a little behind in terms of some strength and conditioning things. But you're going to see him continue to come on, and he's the type of guy that when the pads come and people are playing football and not just working out or rehabbing or what it is, that's when you're going to see the best out of him. So excited to see what Caleb Spencer could do at safety. Brian Balaam, he was convinced not to jump in the portal because Miami needed bodies there. Is he going to be someone that could be in the rotation? Markeith Williams, a couple episodes ago, I mentioned Markeith Williams.
Yeah.
Guys that Miami's really, really keeping a close eye on, see if he can be a dude, see if he can be a real impact player. Really talented guy out of Orlando, but can he be mature and consistent and the same guy every day, the way the coaches want to see it? It's a cliche, but from a coaching standpoint, they're looking for that. Chris Graves out of Southwest Florida, another one at corner. Can his talent, which like Markeith is above the other guys in his class, match what he's doing day in, day out? Because he's big, he's physical, he's fast, and he has ball skills. He has everything you need, but he's got to put it together.
One more I have for you is Don Cheney. This is the first time in his entire college career that he's came into spring practice with an actual off season of working out and preparing for the spring. So this is his first go round, which is kind of scary. And this is, I believe, his fourth year on campus. He came in injured, had multiple freak injuries. This is his money year. This is his year. He's got to go make money. And he has the carries to be had because Citizen, we don't know. You know, he's coming off a major injury. We have young guys. Johnson's not physically ready. Fletcher, he's the one that could throw a wrench in everything. But this is Don's money-making year.
Cheney went to Belen, so every year for him is a money-making year. The guy's going to be making money no matter what. But, you know, in terms of the football field, no question about it. And it reminds me of last year. You had a lot of injuries to the running backs throughout the season, but particularly in spring. You only had Parrish and Thad Franklin. Thad had a major opportunity. I thought he was a lot out of shape. He did some good things, but you saw a couple plays. I could think back to the spring game. There was a stretch run. He just couldn't get to the corner because he was too slow, overweight. And you saw that, you said, I don't think he's going to be it, you know, as a Miami running back. Cheney has that same opportunity with Citizen out. You don't have Chris Johnson there. You don't have Mark Fletcher there, who I think is going to figure in a major way into that rotation. You have Parrish, but you know what he can do. Can Cheney seize this opportunity to be the guy and to take those reps, show he can be healthy, show he can be explosive, and show the things he could do? Because I know you've posted about it, and I can confirm, because I saw those practices. Before he got hurt, he was really, really looking good the first time. You know, he was really looking like he was going to emerge. And then even coming back from the injury, you saw some flashes before he hurt his hip. But really, the year he got hurt, that was looking like it was going to be his year and he was going to take over, and unfortunately got hurt the second game. But it's in his body. You see a Nick Chubb, one of the nastiest injuries I ever seen at running back, be one of the top running backs in the NFL. Dalvin Cook popped his ACL. So there's guys that have been injured, overcome it. They still have that fast twitch muscle in their body, still the same size. Hopefully Don can give you something, because I know, you know he's a great kid and has been working hard for this opportunity, and that'll be something that comes in spring.
Yeah, he's a perfect match of speed and power, and he has agility. He has everything you want in a running back. Prototypical size. It's just injuries, man. He's been snake bitten, and I'm his biggest fan. I hate to see it, because every time you start getting excited, you're like, yeah, here we go. And then like last year, it was a freak run. He wasn't even a full tackle. It was just a thud. It's just freaky stuff happens, and you can't explain it.
One guy that showed something on the field, but I'm still intrigued to see what he does in this offense with a year under his belt, is Colby Young. Colby Young came in late from JUCO, didn't really have the summer to work out, emerged during the season. He looked faster than he did in camp during the season. I don't know if it was just losing weight or just better condition or just getting more speed of the game and playing faster. Now he has confidence from having made plays on the field, has the whole offseason to work out, and you're reading about him being the fastest receiver on the team in terms of the GPS. Now, the GPS is not perfect, but I know NFL teams use that GPS testing themselves all the time. It's a real thing that they use in the draft as we get ready for the NFL draft here. So the fact that Colby Young, who is a big physical receiver who high points the ball, that's his game, 50-50 balls, big body guy, is also your fastest receiver on the GPS, that tells me he's having a good offseason. That tells me he's shaving some weight, and he might be better athlete, more explosive than people give him credit for. Put all that together, new offense, TVD, that can be an exciting guy at a position where Miami desperately needs a go-to guy.
Actually had him down. I had him written down first on my list of guys I would want to watch in the spring, and it was Colby Young. But I also had Matthew McCoy as another guy that you heard about flashes at practice, and you didn't really see it on the film. I believe he got banged up a little bit, but he's another guy. And my guy, Khalil Brantley. I'm the leader of the fan club, me and Go Getter, of course. But I was calling for him all year to get playing time. Dude, 6'2", 225, 230. We've seen what he does blocking, but there's so much more there that's been untapped. And he wasn't getting an opportunity to show what he can do. The guy can run after catch. He can block. He can catch. He can do everything. he's more than just coming across on wham blocks every single play over and over and over.
Yeah, I love Khalil. Great kid, good player as well. Somebody who you mentioned the wham blocks. He can block, he can do that. But yeah, he has more. He was a receiver in high school, has that ability, has some speed. Some goes 70 yards against IMG. He's faster than people think. He was wide open a couple times where Jake Garcia threw it at his shoelaces, and he was able to come down with it. But he's somebody that is a team guy, a winner, and someone you want. And you mentioned Matthew McCoy, somebody who grew out of the tight end position, kind of like Zion Nelson. Utah offensive line, raw. Manny and Garrett Justice offered him. When the new crew came in, they looked at the board and they said, we like this guy. This guy was a good eval. We're going to stay on him. Ended up signing him. And when I talk to people around there and I'm saying, I'm asking about, like, who are the next guys? Who are the guys you're really excited about? They'll list the names you expect. The Wesley Bassett, the Nez Cooper, the Nigel Lee Kelly. But they're always make a point to say, Matthew McCoy is a real player, and he's going to be in the mix. He's going to be competing with the Francises and the Sampsons. If he wouldn't have gotten hurt last year, like you said, he would have played last year as a true freshman. No question about that. So somebody with the athleticism, the size, apparently he's taking coaching well because the coaches like him a lot. That's going to be a very big leg up on offensive line recruiting if you hit on an S. Cooper and McCoy in that transition class. We know that they got an S. Cooper right before the shot clock ended, right before signing day, and the guy ended up being a very talented player, potential building block. If Matthew Cooper's another one of those, that's two impact offensive linemen that Cristobal and Mirabal signed in a rush when they arrived here, really right before the early signing day. So excited to see those guys as well. Anything else you're looking forward to in spring?
Not spring, but recruiting wise, I would say I want everybody to pay attention to recruiting at the receiver position going forward with this offense and the philosophy. You're going to see a big difference. I would probably predict you'll see a minimum of one high school stud jumping in before we even play one snap. And we'll probably get one or two JUCOs. So watch recruiting and how kids will flock to this offense just at the thought of what it could be, and looking at Dawson's, pass at Houston, you're going to see the difference it makes. Kids want to eat, and this offense, they will be able to eat. And if you don't believe me, go look at the stats at Houston's receivers the last 2 years from top to bottom.
Well, tell me about him. We know Tank Dell put up enormous numbers. You could always tell the recruits, hey, you're going to be the next Tank Dell. You'll have next Tank Dells on the roster. But it's not just a one-man show, right?
He got 109 receptions for Tank, 1398. Then the second guy, 41, 471, 4 touchdowns. The third guy, 38, 601, 5 touchdowns. The fourth guy, 38 catches, 7 touchdowns. The fifth guy, 23 catches, 3 touchdowns. That's not even including the running backs who get 20 catches. You got multiple guys, I believe, with 20 catches. And the year before, it's the same thing. Only thing that happened was Dale just went from crazy to the stupid mode. He went from 90 catches to 109 for 1398. But if you want to get catches, you don't have to worry about getting 1 or 2 opportunities like you did last year. In this offense, there's no reason why a South Florida receiver wouldn't want to play in it. You're going to eat, you're going to get catches, and there's no need to worry about getting 1 reception, 2 receptions. There's only 4 receivers on the field most times. And by the stat sheet, there's a lot of different guys eating.
Well, Crib, always appreciate your insight. Go to CanesInSight.com forums to see some of the crystal balls, some of the smoke, some of the eyeball emojis, some of the clues. You got to pick up the clues. You don't make it easy for everybody, but if you know what you're looking for, you're gonna find some info before you see it anywhere else. Ask about him. Cribby, CanesInSight. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
We got to do a WrestleMania podcast too. That's the next one because this started the road to WrestleMania, so we gotta cut one of those. Bring on Liberty City L or something.
You might want to bring him on. I don't watch wrestling no more. I'm a grown up.
All right. I'll ignore that comment.
I'm just messing with you. I watch highlights.
All right, brother. Well, listen, see you around. Excited for spring. Go Canes.
Yes, sir.
If you want to look good when you show up to the light, go to Canesware.com or Canesware brick and mortar store in Davie. They got all kinds of Canes baseball gear, honestly, it's probably their best collection of gear is the Canes baseball stuff. They got multiple jerseys, all kinds of designs with the Old English logo. They got a Miami Maniac cap, all sorts of different apparel between caps, jerseys, T-shirts, you name it, decals with the Old English logo. They got it at Canesware. So load up. Season's just starting. You're going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You need 3 different outfits. Go to canesware.com or go to the store down in Davie, the spot where Miami fans shop.
All right, we got a short edition of the bank called the ATM, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Promo code CIS, get $100 free to play. Pick'ems, daily fantasy, promo code CIS, $100 right away. Want to just go through some names that are coming in next weekend's Junior Day for Miami. These are some names that Miami really likes. Doesn't mean the names that are going that I don't mention Miami doesn't really like, but these are names that I know that Miami's hot on, and they're going to push hard with these guys on campus. So keep an eye on these recruits who are taking their own time and money to come to Miami for Junior Day. Elijah Rushing, defensive end, 5-star out of Tucson, Arizona, the home of the great Linda Ronstadt. Everybody wants him. Miami wants him bad. He's on campus. David Stone, defensive tackle, IMG, originally from Oklahoma City, another 5-star on campus. Miami, everybody wants him. Aaron Nolan, you heard about him, the quarterback from Atlanta, set all kinds of records. Blue chip quarterback, I believe he's number 11 in the country and moving up. Plays on the South Florida High School Express, has been down here a ton. Watch for him to be a potential quarterback in this class. Miami likes him a lot, and he is showing reciprocal interest. Chance Robinson, 4-star out of St. Thomas Aquinas, wide receiver. We hear a lot about Jeremiah Smith. Chance Robinson is a major priority, along with those guys locally. They'd love to land all 3, but certainly don't want to let Chance Robinson go. His size, his craft, his ability. Aiden Breland, defensive lineman out of Mater Dei in California, 4-star. Guy's making the trip all the way from California to Miami for Junior Day, so you know he has interest. Cristobal's had success on the West Coast. This is a big defensive lineman they really like. Remember, that's a priority position for Miami in this class. Daniel Cruz, someone I mentioned on a prior episode of the bank, is somebody who's underrated. Now you're seeing him rise in the rankings. Low 4-star from small town in Texas, Richland. Interior guy, somebody that Miami likes a lot. It's coming down to visit. Never count Miami out with an offensive lineman. Now some of the lower ranked guys that Miami really likes that will be on campus. Kendall Jackson, 3-star out of Gainesville Buckholz. Obviously Gainesville, you think the Gators, but that's not a guarantee lately, and Miami's put a lot of effort into Kendall Jackson, a long and talented defensive lineman. Juan Minaya, a no-star prospect out of Paramus in New Jersey, got big-time size, big-time frame. They're going to want to size him in person, but they like what they see. You saw him take Frankie Tinalau last year when he was a no-star, ended up being a highly recruited player. Khalil Cummins, a safety out of Stark, Florida. Somebody I mentioned last time on the bank is somebody that Miami really liked. FSU likes him too. That's going to be a battle, but he'll be at Junior Day. Dalen Russell, defensive lineman out of Miami Columbus. Unrated, but somebody Miami likes. Miami Columbus, obviously, the high school of Alonzo Highsmith, Alex Mirabal, and Mario Cristobal himself. They like Dalen Russell and what he brings to the table as a versatile defensive lineman. Finally, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, the unranked running back out of Dillard. We talked about him, originally from South Plantation. 16 yards a carry as a junior. Big-time speed. Love what he brings to the table. He's someone that Miami identified as a big-time local back. So those are some names to watch. There'll be other names on campus. There'll be other names emerging, but those are guys Miami really, really likes and is going to take their best shot at next weekend. This has been The Bank and the CanesInSight podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere. CanesInsight.com, the busiest forum, 6 million posts and counting. You know where to find the latest as we get to spring football. I'll be breaking down practices like always and get you the exclusive info that you will not find anywhere else on what's actually happening in spring. You know where to go, CanesInsight.com.